who just want to win, who have grown up to be playing against each other, playing with each other. So it's great, and the environment's great here. I feel like every game's a sellout, so they have a great home court advantage. So overall, yeah, great environment.
Paige, have you talked to Caitlin at all? She went through some of the injury stuff, but you had to talk to her, offer any support or anything like that?
No, I haven't talked to her personally, but I know she's got a great team around her. She works extremely hard. She has great work ethic, sending prayers. She don't wish injury upon anyone. So just wishing her speedy recovery, but no, I didn't show.
The clash of the century was supposed to be this one. WNBA history's most dramatic matchup between the two most recent #1 draft selections, Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark in contrast. The future generation of basketball players whose heroics throughout college won over basketball fans worldwide. Months passed during which the anticipation grew. Over $1,000 was being sold for the tickets. Additionally, the American Airlines Center was crowded with more than 7,000 spectators eager to see history.
Caitlin Clark was taking the ball up the court. She was the one who was creating a lot of these fast break buckets. And Caitlin Clark ended the game with 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals. Now, the 5 steals really stood out to me because a lot of people, when they criticize Caitlin Clark, they criticize her for her turnovers, which in this game she only had 2, and they criticize her for her defense. She was all over the floor on the defensive end, and she took some risks, and those paid off for her in the 5 steals. She also had a big block, and that was also like a good momentum shift for the Indiana.
What we got instead was a basketball clinic that made it clear who is in charge of this league. The Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark not only defeated Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings 183, but they completely destroyed them in what can only be called a one-sided dominance that sent Clark's detractors running for cover. What transpired at Cambridge Fieldhouse on Sunday afternoon will be explained to you. Because this was more than simply a game of hoops. This was an assertion. This was Caitlin Clark telling everyone why she is the WNBA's face, and why it is now openly offensive to compare her to anyone else.
Caitlin Clark reminded everybody who she is in the Fever win over the Wings in what was a blowout victory. One where Clark didn't even shoot the ball well again, but she completely dominated the game and shows the difference between her and everyone else through her playmaking. Not to mention, she played very well defensively. You know, there's this narrative out there sometimes that she's a defensive liability, which is clearly not the case. A bunch of steals in this game, good shot blocking guard as well. But it's what she's able to do to set everyone else up and in the open floor and with her court vision that no one else is able to come close to being comparable to.
The atmosphere in the crowd was palpable as soon as the ball was tipped. Both players came out swinging, with Clark making her first basket, a long three-pointer that ultimately made her mouth drop as she returned to defense. Although Bueckers was achieving respectable results, Clark was planning something unique. She was engaged in more than just basketball. The Wings appeared to be watching a basketball game for the first time as she led a symphony of devastation.
And cleared the benches. This game is over. This game is over. The Fever went out there and gave the Wings the belt. I'm talking about the belt in the worst way. Now, what I would say is, god damn, I did not know the Wings were that terrible. I get they probably got one of the worst records in the league, but damn, we got to get Paige up out of there. We got to get Paige up out of there. I mean, she didn't really have no help for her out there. It was looking, but on another note, the Indiana Fever, they did their thing. They came to play. I don't know if they came to make a statement or not, but they did against them. They definitely did against them. And everybody had it going for them.
Now, since this isn't about undervaluing her talent, let's take a moment to discuss Paige Bueckers. The woman had a strong effort by any standard, scoring 21 points on 9 of 15 shots. The problem is that when it comes to competing for greatness, solid is insufficient. Bueckers was selected first because she had moments when she made some spectacular shots and displayed the player's traits. Clark, meanwhile, was taking a totally different approach while she was posting individual data. She was improving her entire squad.
Caitlin Clark's first bucket of the night was a long three-pointer, and she was excited for that. A lot of fans were excited for that because it still seems like she's not shooting at the highest clip like we normally see Caitlin Clark, but she did have 2 3-pointers tonight, and she was 4 for 12 from the field. So like I said, she's still not shooting at the percentage as she normally would. Even in this game, I felt like she was really aggressive and she took a lot of shots in the first half, but then in the second half, she was really facilitating, she was playmaking, she was getting her teammates involved. And with that, there were, again, 5 players on the Indiana Fever who scored in double digits.
If you're having fun, please subscribe. Let's also be candid about what was witnessed by all during that press conference following the game. Regarding Clark's defensive play, Bueckers was questioned by reporters about how Clark had intercepted multiple of her passes for simple steals. Her expression conveyed her dissatisfaction. She answered, "Yeah," after a pause that was quite telling. "You did, after all, answer it." She's just a really intelligent basketball player. That went beyond simply appreciating an opponent's talent. That was the sound of someone who had just lost a high-level game.
That's what we're talking about when we are referring to Caitlin Clark running the show. Caitlin Clark running the offense, being the innovator of offense, the distributor of offense for the Indiana Fever. This is exactly what we mean right here. This game was an absolute blowout. Dallas Wings didn't know what hit them. Everybody ate in this game.
This is when it becomes truly lovely, though. This was not one of Caitlin Clark's classic 30-point outbursts. In this instance, Clark demonstrated why, despite her poor shooting, she is far superior to everyone else in this league. Having finished with 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals, she became only the 5th player in WNBA history to have at least 10 points, 10 assists, and 5 steals in different games. It's not merely a stat line. Basketball expertise is that.
I think a few of the turnovers the full turnovers today, I think a few of them were picked off by Caitlin. Was there anything in particular that you saw maybe that she was kind of a step ahead, or not it seemed like she was jumping the pass?
Yeah. I mean, you can answer it. She's just very smart basketball player. So she'll get out within the passing lane. I'm gonna make catches difficult. But yeah.
With 64 points in the first half, the Indiana Fever set a franchise record and the most points scored by any WNBA club this season. They had 30 assists on 40 made shots, a 75% assist rate that made Clark smile broadly. She stated after the game that 30 assists on 40 made shots is as good as it gets. That's quite amazing and demonstrates how unselfish this bunch is. I must now address an issue that has been worrying me during the entire discussion. The fact that Paige Bueckers is compared to Caitlin Clark is not her fault. Finding the next Clark, the player who can lead the league the way she does, is a goal shared by the media, supporters, and experts. But hurry up, people. Please, can we stop making this analogy in light of what we saw on Sunday?
Caitlin Clark is now has the 5th most double-doubles with points and assists in WNBA history. All right, now to put that into some context, she's played 1 year plus into this season, and she's missed 10 games. Think about that for a moment. Right here, how about this? Caitlin Clark has reached 200 points and 100 assists this season. The fastest to do so in a single season in WNBA history. She missed 10 games.
With 64 points in the first half, the Indiana Fever set a franchise record and the most points scored by any WNBA club this season. They had 30 assists on 40 made shots, a 75% assist rate that made Clark smile broadly. She stated after the game that 30 assists on 40 made shots is as good as it gets. That's quite amazing and demonstrates how unselfish this bunch is. I must now address an issue that has been worrying me during the entire discussion. The fact that Paige Bueckers is compared to Caitlin Clark is not her fault. Finding the next Clark, the player who can lead the league the way she does, is a goal shared by the media, supporters, and experts. But hurry up, people. Please, can we stop making this analogy in light of what we saw on Sunday?
They were playing quick. They were moving the ball around. They had so many points off of the fast break, and they actually broke a league record for points in the first quarter. They scored 64 points in, not the first quarter, excuse me. They scored 64 points in the first half of the game. And I was even saying on my live stream, I'm like, go ahead and score 120 points. Like, if you guys can keep it at this pace. But they scored 64 points in the first half, and then obviously ended the game with over 100 points. And you just saw the ball moving. You saw everybody running the floor. Like, I feel like at some point in time during the game, every player had a fast break bucket.
For all of the critics who have been waiting for Clark to fail, let's discuss what this performance means. The claim that the Indiana Fever would be better off without her. She was overrated, according to many who said she couldn't handle the WNBA's roughness, and her shooting difficulties made her a flash in the pan. Now where are they? After seeing that masterwork, they have nothing to say, thus they are nowhere to be found. All Caitlin Clark needed to do was return to match fitness following her injuries. Despite only playing 25 minutes in this game due to a minutes restriction, she was still able to totally control the action. The league as a whole had better take notice when she returns to full strength, plays 35 minutes each game, and shoots the ball the way we know she can. Never before has the difference between Bueckers and Clark been so obvious. Clark has missed a lot of time because of injuries, but he is still averaging 17.4 points and 8.6 assists this season. She is the force behind the Indiana Fever and the player who uplifts everyone in her vicinity. When she is playing, the Fever are a different team entirely. The offense runs more smoothly, her teammates perform better, and there is a buzzing atmosphere in the building.
The most points in a half in franchise history for the Indiana Fever. It was 64-42 at half. 64. I'm surprised Stephanie White didn't have a heart attack. I'm surprised she didn't bench all the starters coming out of the half. I'm glad she didn't, seriously. And Caitlin Clark in the first half, 10 points, 7 assists, 3 steals and a blocked shot, and a partridge in a pear tree. Good Lord, it was domination, 102-83 in this game. Caitlin Clark had a monster all-around game. Everybody ate in this game.
Even though she is incredibly talented, Paige Bueckers is constantly looking for ways to improve colleagues. Although she is a competent player, possibly a great one, she lacks transcendental skill. She is not the kind of person who can suddenly alter a franchise's course or raise an entire league's profile. She is not being disparaged by that. Few players in basketball history have the ability to achieve that. Among them is Caitlin Clark. The most exquisite aspect of this whole scenario is witnessing the story change in real time. Prior to this match, some still maintain that Bueckers may be just as excellent as Clark, that the analogy held water, and that we should wait and see. Following Sunday's performance, those voices have ceased to exist. This concludes the discussion. It is Caitlin Clark, CC22, who is the sole queen in the WNBA.